Few things in life ignite our sense of wonder and joy like video games. For decades, they have captured our imaginations, connected us with loved ones, and provided countless hours of fun. The emotional pull of video games is undeniable, especially for those who grew up playing them in the 80s and 90s. From the arcades that hummed with the sounds of competition to the living room battles with siblings, video games shaped our childhoods in ways that still resonate today. Let's explore the artistry, music, and profound memories that make video games so beloved, and why we sometimes wish we could travel back in time to relive those magical moments. Before we get started, if you could please leave a like and a subscribe, that would really help the channel grow. Thank you so much, and let's continue. For many of us, our love for video games began in childhood, when Saturday mornings weren't just about cartoons, but also about powering up our consoles. Back then, the family room transformed into a battleground for pixelated heroes. We all remember the unspoken sibling rule: if you die, it's my turn. If there's a universal truth, it's that no bond was stronger and no argument fiercer than who got to be player one. The games themselves were simple, yet endlessly entertaining. Think of Super Mario Bros., with its whimsical levels and iconic music. Every jump, every fireball hurled at a Goomba brought us closer to saving Princess Peach. These games taught us patience, perseverance, and when we ran out of lives, the value of starting over. They didn't need hyper-realistic graphics or sprawling worlds. The magic was in their charm and their accessibility. Before consoles took over our living rooms, arcades reigned supreme. Neon lights, the scent of pizza, and the clinking of quarters defined the atmosphere. Arcades weren't just places to play. They were arenas where friendships were forged, rivalries were born, and legends were made. Who could forget the thrill of beating a high score in Pac-Man, or the adrenaline of the heated match in Street Fighter II? Arcade games were deceptively simple, yet brilliantly designed. They had to grab your attention and make you part with your precious quarters. Games like Galaga and Donkey Kong required sharp reflexes and an iron will. Yet, it wasn't just about the games, it was about the shared experience. Watching a stranger's epic run on asteroids, or cheering as your friend finally took down the final boss of Time Crisis, created a sense of community that's hard to replicate. One of the most underrated aspects of video games is their artistry. In the 80s and 90s, developers had limited technology but boundless creativity. Every pixel in The Legend of Zelda, every sprite in Sonic the Hedgehog, and every meticulously crafted level in Metroid was a labor of love. These games weren't just entertainment, they were works of art. Take Final Fantasy VI, for example. With its beautiful 16-bit graphics and a story that tackled themes of war, loss, hope, it proved that games could be as emotionally powerful as any book or movie. The character designs by artists like Yoshitaka Amano and the imaginative worlds they built stayed with us long after the credits rolled. Each game was a window into another world, filled with wonder and limitless possibility. Let's talk about music, an unsung hero of gaming. Even now, the opening notes of The Legend of Zelda's overworld theme, or the haunting melody of Aeris's theme from Final Fantasy VII, can transport us back to our childhoods. Game composers like Koji Kondo and Nobuo Uematsu understood that music wasn't just background noise. It was an integral part of the experience. Music elevated every moment, from the triumphant fanfare victory to the quiet, reflective tunes that played as we explored new lands. These soundtracks weren't just heard, they were felt. They accompanied us through our greatest triumphs and most crushing defeats. To this day, hearing these songs can bring tears to our eyes, not just because of their beauty, but because of the memories they evoke. Video games also brought us closer to our families and friends. Remember family game nights where Mario Kart and GoldenEye 007 turned into heated competitions? Or when you and your best friend spent hours trying to figure out a puzzle in Myst? These weren't just games, they were shared adventures that strengthened our bonds. For many of us, gaming was also a way to connect with parents or older siblings. Perhaps Dad wasn't the best at Tetris, but he always tried. Maybe your older brother was a co-op partner in Contra, carrying you through levels you couldn't beat alone. These moments weren't just fun, they were foundational, building relationships and creating memories that still make us smile. As adults, we often find ourselves longing for those simpler times. Life gets busy, responsibilities pile up, and the carefree days of childhood feel like a distant dream. Sometimes we'll boot up an emulator or dust off an old console, hoping to recapture the magic, and for a brief moment we do. That first level of Super Mario World feels just as thrilling as it did decades ago. But it's bittersweet because we know we can't truly go back. If we had a time machine, we'd go straight to those lazy summer afternoons, controller in hand, surrounded by friends and family. We'd relive the joy of discovering secrets in Metroid, or finally beating that impossible boss in Mega Man. And yes, we'd probably laugh at how bad we were at some of those games back then. Though we can't turn back the clock, video games continue to bring joy into our lives. Modern titles like The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Stardew Valley capture the spirit of discovery and creativity that we fell in love with as kids. And while the industry has evolved, the core essence of gaming remains the same. It's about having fun, telling stories, and bringing people together. Video games are more than just a pastime. They're a testament to human creativity, connection, and resilience. They've given us countless memories, taught us important lessons, and brought us closer to the people we love. While we may never recapture the exact magic of our childhood gaming days, those moments live in our hearts. And every time we hear a familiar chime of a coin collected in Mario, we're reminded of why we fell in love with video games in the first place.